How about it, race fans? Richard Allen of motorsportsreport.net with another Rich's Ramblings. And as you could tell, perhaps when you clicked on this piece, I've titled it Times Are Tough for the Bobby Pierce Haters. And I want to start off by saying a couple of things. For one, I don't like the use of the word hate because I don't hate anything. I don't hate anybody. So I don't like it when that term gets used, but it's kind of a hip thing to throw around. You know, haters gonna hate. People love saying stuff like that. And there's Bobby Pierce haters or Florida Gator haters or whatever, you know. So I don't really like the use of that term. And then secondly, I'll say I do write a lot of stories about Bobby Pierce and a lot of stories about Kyle Larson and whoever. I don't have a favorite driver. I never have since I've taken on this role as a media member. But as almost any media person will tell you, we all root for good stories. You may not root for a particular driver, but you root for good stories. And as the night's playing out, a lot of times I see, hey, that would be a good story if this happens or if that happens. And I think all media members do the same. Kyle Larson's a good story because he runs in so many different types of races. He's so successful in everything that he does. Bobby Pierce is a good story because he's been so dominant here over the last couple or 3 years. So they're going to turn up in a lot of stories, not just on motorsportsreport.net, but everywhere. For that matter, any site that covers racing. But I don't root for any particular driver, and never really have. But as far as getting back to Bobby Pierce is concerned, like I said, times are tough for the Bobby Pierce haters. Look at over the last 2 years. He has won 76 features over the last 2 years since the beginning of 2023. I'm not much of a mathematician, that's why I'm a history teacher instead of a math teacher, but I calculated it out. He's won 43% of his starts over the last couple of years. I mean, that's just ridiculous. That's crazy that one driver could be winning that much. And think about it like this. He's not just winning little regional races somewhere, you know, the so-called cherry pickers, which that's another term I don't like. Because every race team has to figure out what's best for it. But he's not winning small-time races. He was the 2023 World of Outlaws Case Construction Late Model Series champion. He would have been in 2024 if not for a tire penalty he got early in the year that deducted enough points from him that he would have won the championship in 24 if it had not been for that penalty. A penalty which, by the way, he vehemently denies that he was guilty of the infraction. But in 23, I mean, what an amazing season he had. He was the Flow Racing Night in America champion, and he was the XR Super Series champion. At the same time, he won 3 national championships in the same year, and follows that up in 24 with very similar type results. At least as far as in terms of races won, he won more than 30 features in each of those 2 years. But look at the races that he's won. And over the last 2 years, he's won the World 100. He's won the North-South 100 twice. He's won the USA Nationals twice. Of course, all those are crown jewel races. He's won the Prairie Dirt Classic, the Dirt Track World Championship, the Knoxville Late Model Nationals. I mean, he's piling up big wins that pay out big purses. Like I said, you know, he's not winning these $5,000 to win races against short fields. He's winning against the best that there are out there at a clip like we've rarely ever seen. You know, back in his heyday, Scott Bloomquist or Billy Moyer or somebody like that might have been running up big win totals, but I don't think in the types of races that Pierce is winning at. And, you know, if you look at other things, you know, what's his advantage? Well, he's driving a Longhorn, but heck, everybody's driving a Longhorn. In a time when everybody's running basically the same equipment, he's winning at an unbelievable clip. About the only person who's keeping pace with him is Ricky Thornton Jr., who last year was the Lucas Oil Late Model Dirt Series champion as well. So, and of course, the previous year from that, lost out in that winner-take-all one race at Eldora at the end of the season. But before that, he had like a 500-point lead over the rest of the field. So those two drivers are just dominating everything. But Pierce in particular, and I bring up Pierce because, of course, we've started off the season. The 2025 season's now underway. had the Wild West Shootout take place in Vado, New Mexico, over the past week or so, and out of the 5 races they were able to get in, they lost one of them because of weather, but out of the 5 races they were able to get in, he won 4 of them. And not only that, 2 of those paid $25,000 to win. So he's just an amazing clip. I mean, there's no reason to think that 2025 is going to play out any differently than 2023 or 24. I mean, you never know. Crazy things happen along the way. He might fall into a slump for one reason or another, and may go weeks without winning a race. But right now, he's certainly not giving any indication that that's going to be true. And in those Wild West Shootout races, again, it's not like he was beating chump fields. I mean, there were some really good drivers in there. Garrett Alberson, who's the only driver who won a feature other than Pierce, was in there. And then also you had Brandon Sheppard, Mike Marlar, Tyler Erb. Those are quality drivers that race in any field and at any time. So he was able to beat all of them. So it's going to be interesting to see once the quote-unquote real season starts, when they start running the points-paying races for the World of Outlaws and the points-paying races for the Lucas Oil Late Model Dirt Series. And you have guys like Thornton, Jonathan Davenport, Hudson O'Neal, Tim McCready, people like that throwing in as well. We'll see what happens with Pierce. Is he able to keep up the same winning pace that he's had over the last 2 years? And like I said, there's no reason to think that he won. I mean, not that the one race he lost, he just had a bad go of it in heat race and kind of had to start deep in the field and still got up to second place against Alberson at the Wild West Shootout. And then other races, I mean, he was just dominant. He's just leading all the laps, and when there wasn't a caution, he was building up leads. At one time, I think in the Sunday night feature, I think he had a 5-second lead before a caution came to erase that. So we'll see what that leads to. But also, as far as the Wild West Shootout's concerned, one driver I mentioned earlier, Brandon Sheppard, was in it. Of course, Sheppard is the all-time winningest driver with the World of Outlaws. He's won 5 championships, which he won the 5th last year in 2024, driving in the Longhorn. He had a couple of years before that, he had left the Rocket Chassis house car. But as I'm sure you probably know if you follow the sport at all, Sheppard will be back with that Rocket Chassis house car and Mark Richards Racing coming up this year. And of course, back in his day, he was running up almost Bobby Pierce style numbers back in the day when he was driving that car. So now that he's back with the Rocket and back with Mark Richards Racing, I'm really anxious to see can Brandon Sheppard pick up where he left off a couple of years ago. The races he was running in the Wild West Shootout, he was not driving that Rocket Chassis house car. He was driving his family-owned number B5, which he's had success in before, but they really kind of had a struggle, and as did Mike Marlar, struggled a lot, as he did all throughout much of 2024 too. So I'm really anxious to see, though, when it comes to Sheppard, once get going here at Golden Isles coming up later this week, and then the races at all the Lucas Oil races that they're going to have at Alltech and Ocala, as well as I'm sure they'll enter the World of Outlaw races at Volusia too. Will Brandon Sheppard look like Brandon Sheppard used to look like, or will the struggles continue? He hasn't won a feature race in months. He did, like I said, he won the World of Outlaws championship at the end of last year, but he did that largely with a lot of consistent finishes, not just piling up the win totals like Pierce and Thornton have been doing over the past couple of years. So, it's going to be interesting to watch and see what happens. But anyway, like I said, tough times for the Bobby Pierce haters because he's winning everything he enters right now. So we'll see if that continues as well. But until the next time, this is Richard Allen, motorsportsreport.net, saying I will see you at the track.